Okay, everyone, we're back again for Module 5, Lesson 5. This is going to be the most important lesson of this whole module. Let me tell you why, because it's about analyzing and tracking your marketing efforts. One of the most important things that you can do is to analyze and track your marketing efforts. If you're going to spend any kind of money on advertising, I would suggest getting a tracking number. A tracking number is a number that someone will call, and it's a recorded phone call, and it tells you every time that someone calls that phone number. So let's say you're spending money on advertising for Facebook. You have a tracking number specifically for Facebook only. Let's say you have a tracking number for your website only, a tracking number for LinkedIn only, a tracking number for, and all these are pretty inexpensive to get. You would get those through a company called callrail.com. That's CALLRAIL.com. The reason you want to track these things, if you're spending any kind of money on any kind of advertising at all, or marketing, or whatever it is, you want to know, is it working? And the only way to know if it's working is to track those things, because you can't really, if you don't measure it, you can't track it. So you got to be able to, and you can't track it if you don't measure it. I mean, so you have to be able to track what you're doing. Is it working or is it not working? So I used to spend $10,000 a month just on Google Ads by itself. For a small business, we're doing $1.8 million a year. So we'd spend 10 grand just on Google Ads, and another 4 or 5 grand on this, another 4 or 5 grand on this, and different areas of our business. What I always wanted to do is I wanted to be able to go back and look at all those calls. I spent 10 grand, but how much money did I generate from those ads specifically? Let's say you're running a Facebook ad, and you want to know, okay, is it cost me more than what I'm making? Let's say you got 35 calls, you made $40,000. I mean, you can look very quickly, okay, it cost me X amount of dollars to generate this. And then you start tracking every single part of what you do. You can create this, just keep this in an Excel spreadsheet, keep it simple. Don't make it harder than it has to be. Keep it simple. Look at how many calls you have, because you can go. So when you go through CallRail, it'll give you a report, and you can separate the report per phone number that you're using as a tracking, and you're going to name that tracking number, like for Facebook or LinkedIn or Google Ads or Google Local Ads or Yelp or whatever you want to do. However you want to, you can name it for that. Then you can say, okay, well, I've spent X amount of dollars per month. I had this many calls. Then you can go through and listen to every single call, listen to the recording. So, okay, well, I made money here, made money here, made money there, made money here, made money there, made money here. And you can see if you made enough money to cover your expenses with those calls. That's going to be key to your business's success, understanding how to track those calls. If you're not tracking what you're doing, then you're just possibly throwing money away all the time. Tracking your business is so important to make sure you're making money correctly, efficiently, and not throwing money out the door. So one of the things that you want to make sure of is, let's say you have an office personnel, you have someone who answers your phones in your office. You either have someone who answers your phones, maybe you have an answering service who answers your phones because you can't afford a full-time person yet. What if they're not answering the phone? What if you're spending, let's say, $50 per call that comes into your office? Because there's an acquisition cost to every single call. Every single call that comes to the office is going to cost you X amount of dollars, because if you're paying for paid advertising. That's why, organically speaking, it doesn't cost you hardly anything at all, except for just a few bucks, compared to paid advertising, where I met with an advertiser today, and we talked about another client's business. They cost them around $125 per phone call that comes into their office. So what if your office staff's not answering that call? How would you know that? You wouldn't know that unless you're tracking those calls. So if you're tracking the calls, you can look at it. So I look for red flags. If I go into the software and I look at the report for the calls, I look at things that are under a certain amount of time, like if it's 12 seconds, 8 seconds, 10 seconds, if it's 3 minutes, 45 seconds, I still want to listen to every single call, but I'm looking for those red flag calls where, did my staff not answer that call? Because if your staff didn't answer the call, guess what? You're still having to pay for the cost of that call. You have to track everything that you do. And you really want to see your organic side too. If you're doing things organically, if you could have a number for those as well. You say, well, organically, we're getting this many calls. Paid advertising, we're getting this many calls. And you can see where the greatest value and the greatest return of your investment is, where you know how to focus your attention either on organic more or on paid advertising more. Now, sometimes you just need more calls. You just need more work, and you need it fast. So that's where paid advertising is going to come in. If you can build your business organically where it doesn't require you to have to spend money on paid advertising, good for you. Many companies where, let's say you own a service business and you have service techs that go out to clients' homes, let's say you have 5 texts, they need 3 jobs a day. That's 15 calls a day. And you see where I'm going? That's 75 calls a week that you're going to need. So organically, you may not be able to get enough calls to manage 75 calls a week, but paid advertising, you can do that 100%. It's just going to require you to spend the money on that, but you need to be tracking every single thing that you're doing, all those calls, listen to those calls and make sure that they're working, and make sure whoever's answering your phone, this is important, is doing it correctly. And they're dispatching the jobs correctly. They're doing the thing correctly, because this is going to be so important for you to make sure that they're doing these things. Because if they're not, I can assure you of one thing, your business is going to suffer and you don't even know why. I was listening to another client's calls the other day, just as a part of our coaching deal with them. And I was shocked at what I heard. I could not believe that out of the 14 calls I listened to, they only probably had 2 calls that they would have went out to make money. Their office staff either not answering the phone or just not willing to go out to the calls or making excuses to the clients. The clients say, okay, well, I just need to call somebody else then. You as a business owner need to know these things. These things are so important because the phone is the lifeblood of your business. How they connect with your company is the lifeblood of your business. And you need to know, is what I'm doing working or is it not working? And if it's not working, I need to kill it. I need to kill it fast or adjust it. But one thing needs to happen, you need to track it. So make sure whatever you do, you analyze and track every ad source that you use, every organic source that you use, because it's going to help your business grow better. It's going to help you be a way smarter business owner, and you're going to be way ahead of your competition, because most people never take the time to do this. And I always took the time to do this because this is so important, especially when you hire an office staff. You want to make sure that they're doing their job. Because let's say you have a script of how you want them to answer a phone, but they're not answering the right way. You want to know these things. This is a great training opportunity to teach people also who work in your office. This is how we answer the call correctly. This is how we show empathy to the customer. This is how we show gratitude to them. All these things matter, and they're great for training as well. So make sure you track everything that you do. And I promise you, you'll be happier that you did. See you in the next module, guys. Can't wait to see you. And thank you so much for sticking through this. You're going to make a great business. I know you are.